Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakarkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, pushing this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And this is a news article bringing out for In the News on October 21st, 2022, on this Friday night at 8:06 p.m. Central Standard Time, through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And this is was recently, and this was by Jerusalem Post staff by Reuters, published on October 21st, 2022, and last updated October the 22nd of 2022. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads from the Jerusalem Post, it says Syrian air defenses responds to an alleged Israeli airstrike. Right, and it comes, it been quiet in that region, I say, for about, at least about 2 or 3 weeks and close to a month. Because you would hear like a non-stop ongoing Israeli aggression in Syria with the airstrike. You know, as I mentioned to you before previously, I've been doing videos of this once these news been breaking out of the cross-border conflict between the Israeli aggression that launched missiles in those facilities that they aim their target at over there in Syria, because there's a lot of Iranian-backed facilitations stuff in that region over there, I just wanted to add a note to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to read the news article. I'm going to read the headline again for edification's sake of this sit-down lesson. It says, the Syrian air defense responds to an alleged Israeli airstrike. And it says, the incident comes 1 month after the last alleged Israeli airstrike in Syria. It says Syrian air defense intercepts an alleged missile attack over the capital Damascus in the southern region late on Friday, and explosions were heard in the capital. Vixen State Media report. It says no information were immediately available on the damage or casualties. It says the target of the attack was Damascus International Airport. According to the international reports, this attack comes after I can read that again. This attack comes after over a month without any alleged Israeli attacks in Syria. The last alleged Israeli strike Syria happened on September 17th, and it's also an alleged target, the Damascus International Airport. It says, why is Israel allegedly attacking Syria? Israel has been accused by the Syrian government of conducting airstrikes for over a decade. Wow, that's been quite some time. It says the strike comes as a part of the Israeli campaign of between wars, known in Hebrew as Mabam, if I pronounced that right. And it's to disrupt the smuggling of advancing weapons from Iran. Yeah, like I just mentioned, Iranian-backed facilities that Israel targets through Syria and into the hands of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Because you already know, you have the tensions between Lebanon of Hezbollah, the organization group Hezbollah, which is run by the Ishmaelites. It's the modern day Arabs and the Israelis, they've been in contention with each other for quite some time now. And it says Israel has been trained to prevent the establishment of a Iranian outpost on its borders ever since the Syrian-Iranian alliance was formed. So yeah, this is nations against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms as well too. Bring out that Luke 21 and 9. It says, this is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9, and it reads, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions," which we're hearing right now more than ever, "be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." Yep, gonna hear continue of rumors of wars, proxy wars, on and off conflicts and contentions between nations and different kingdoms. And that's what we're seeing right now on an everyday basis. Now, now sore more than ever. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, because the end is not yet, because more prophecies definitely need to be fulfilled, because we are getting to the beginning stages of that Revelations 11 and 14. Second woe was past, behold, third woe coming quickly, because we already had the first woe, the second woe. Now we are in the stages and the processing, slowly but surely, entering the WW3. Second woe was past, behold, third woe coming quickly. And we're seeing increasing signs of it. So you're gonna have these ongoing proxy wars, often known between the cross-border clashes between the Israeli aggression, which is the IDF from Israeli, as they consistently gonna continue to do more airstrikes, to use airstrikes in those facilities, because they believe those facilities, which is an Iranian-backed group that's backed by Iran, that's allies with them, and it has something to do more with Hezbollah of Lebanon, as I was reading on through the article, as I mentioned it. In quite some time, Syrian and Iran, they had a long time alliance with one another. So that's why you got those tensions increasing between Israel and Iran. What the heck? Oh, that was Salaki. So yeah, you're gonna have that continued increase between Iran versus Israel, because Israel cannot get along with Iran. Because they've been having this rivalry intentions quite some while now, and it's gonna increase and build up. So you're gonna expect to see more airstrikes from the Israeli defense on their side, as they consistently use airstrikes in those facilities over there in Syria, especially like the southern part of Syria, and potentially other parts of Syria as well too. So yeah, it's a lot of activity going on in Syria. Because you got Turkish soldiers, I believe, was recently deployed over there in that region, because they had clashes between both sides, I believe, parts of Iraq and Syria as well too. So it's a lot of activity going on in Syria, because sometimes you have Russia use airstrikes in those certain regions, because Russia, I believe, they was Iranian-backed allies with Syria as well too. So you're gonna have a lot of tension between. You're gonna have a lot of tension and clashes between the nations as well too, in that region of Syria and throughout parts of Middle East. So it's gonna further. Escalate more and more and more, because we're seeing more increasing signs of that, like I mentioned before. Matthew 24 and 6. I'm gonna read it again. And when ye should hear of wars and the commotions of wars, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? Because we seeing these things, we seeing these things taking place on the planet Earth now at a alarming rate, an alarming increasing rate now more than ever, because we never witnessed this before, of these nations increasingly rising up against one another at a consistently based upper level like we never seen before. That's why it's increasing now more and more, as you read in Luke 21 and 25, I believe, like the disgressive nations. And that's what we're seeing, the disgressive nations with the uproars and the people in the world. Nations, sedition among men, invading one another. And that's what we're seeing. That sedition among men spirit, you know, protesters uproars of people in the world with these protesters against the people that's in leadership. They doing protests over them. People are clashing against one another with the different nations and different kingdoms, increasingly going against one another. If it's over oil or if it's over economics, it could be in many different ways, So it's going to increase more and more now than ever. And I'm going to go to verse 7, Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, you're going to have the increase of famines, you're going to have the increase of pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places as well too. And then you're definitely going to have the furthermore escalation and increasing of the nations rising up against one another, even if they jaw jacking towards one another verbally. And it's gonna come to a time when it's gonna get real physical as well too. Economic war, fighting over oil or territories. You're gonna see that increase more and more till they get into a full out brutal war. And we're seeing those things taking place. It's only gonna increase more and more and more. So, it's going to increase more and more now than ever. So with that, I just wanted to bring out that lesson. And this been the last time it was an airstrike over there in Damascus, Syria, over there in that region, as the Israeli aggression using more airstrikes over that region, over those facilities, which is backed by Iran, because whoever owned those facilities over there in Syria, of what the Israeli aggressions using airstrikes is, they are connected to Iran, and they are Iranian-backed allies with them. That's why Israeli aggression try their best to eliminate those targets, because they feel like it's a threat, because you already know, like I mentioned before previously, Israel and Iran, they really don't get along with each other. It's not going to be no solidarity or peace between those two different nations. That's why you're seeing the increases of the nations rising up against one another. And it's going to, furthermore escalate now more than ever. So with that, I hope this sit-down lesson was edifying for In the News on October the 21st, 2022, on this Friday night at 8:20 p.m. Central Standard Time, So things like this is going to further increase and escalate more and more and more. And so with that, once again, I hope this lesson was edifying. Hopefully I was able to get out the points along with the scriptures that I brought out of this news article that I just brought out that just recently just came out of October the 22nd, 2022. So with that, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakar Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.